folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. In today's episode I'm going to show you how to set up the method feeder. There's all sorts of variations on the method feeder. As you can see, these ones on the right are all different, made by different manufacturers, and they're different sizes. Same thing on the left, again different manufacturers, different sizes. But in essence there's only two things you need to know about method feeders. Two varieties. The first is the inline method feeder, where the main line comes down through out to a hook length, which is about so long, and then this slides up and down the line freely. So that's the inline method feeder. And then you have the elasticated method feeder. These ones are basically the same kinds of feeders, but inside them they have elastics. As you can see, if I pull that out, sorry I've only got one hand spare, but if I pull that out, line from the main line comes down here, hook goes on here, and then when you get a fish the elastic pulls out and acts as a buffer. So two main types then of method feeder, and today I'm going to show you how to set up both types. So for the inline feeder then, this is the one I'm going to use. It comes with this thing here called a tail rubber, which you take off, and then you thread your line through the tail rubber, just allow that to go up the main line, then pass it through the feeder itself so it comes out the other side, and you can now just put the tail rubber back on, so it's sliding freely as you see. Now the next thing we have, I'm going to use this thing which I've just started to use recently. You could use a swivel, or you could use a link swivel, or all sorts of other devices, but I quite like this one. And what you have is the cover and the clip. I'll put the line through the cover like so, and then just tie the clip on. I'm going to use a tucked half blood knot, which is one of the ones I use a lot. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, push it back through, and then pull it back through the first loop you just created, and that's the tucked half blood knot. Just a question of tightening up, and this is where you need 3 hands, and you use your mouth. Pull in all 3 directions at once, but don't pull it tight. Wet it with your mouth, and pull again. Pull the knot down until it's tight. Test it, always test your knots. Cut off the tag end, and then you can take the cover, slips over the top quite neatly, as you see. And then if I just lift up the rod, let the feeder come down, we've now got a stop. So it's really just a question of putting a hook on, and for that I'm going to use one of my favourite ones. Now this is a short 4-inch hook length, which is on a 14 hook, and it's also tied to a hair with a speed stop to it. 4 inches long. And the beauty of this one is, if I take the end, I can just open it, take the hook length, push it on, and then slide this down, and that is the inline method feeder. One other small thing you should take into account is that this, if you hold on to it and you've got a fish, this could go down all the way to your rod tip. Now if you're in the UK, just check, because fishery rules may or may not allow this. I'm going to put a split shot on, a number 1 or a BB, just about here, so that when I do that it stops at this point here. Some fisheries, especially in matches, won't allow you to do that, but effectively I take one out, put that on, and as I said, now it just stops there. Okay, it is a bolt rig, even without the BB on it, but I just like the BB too. And really that's all there is to the inline method feeder, guys. Very simple. Just a word on the fish safety side before I finish off on this. Bear in mind that this BB is here to stop the feeder sliding down. If you break off above the feeder, that's not a problem with this rig, because what will happen is that will allow it to be pulled through like this, as you see, and eventually when it comes to the end, when it comes to the end, it will just drop off. The feeder comes away, and remember, the hook is barbless, so there shouldn't be any issues with carrying a small amount of line around with it until such time as it manages to just eject the barbless hook. So now I'm going to show you the elasticated method feeder. Now these, again in the UK, in some fisheries, these are banned, but if you're fishing a river or if you're anywhere else in the world, there's no problem with these. The main problem which people didn't like about this is that you could end up with a fish, if you broke off, towing this around with it and making the fish stress. So this particular feeder, this is a Guru feeder, overcomes all of that, and here's how it works. Again, we've got the tail rubber, which I'll thread on, and just leave that up the line. And now I'm going to tie a figure of eight loop knot there we go, and again just wet it before I pull tight. Take off the tag end, and now the beauty of this one is that there's a clip on the end here. Push that over the clip, pull the tail rubber back down over the top, push down tight, and then put your hook on here. And this is the elastication effect. So when you get a fish on, this is basically like a bungee cord. And in the event that you do break off up this end, this one will actually pull through, and again, just like with the inline feeder, you'll end up with just a very small amount of line and the hook attached to the fish. If it does come out, just pull back and pull it back into the holder. Very simple and straightforward. The hook on this one, I probably will get around to changing these elastics for those quick change adapters, but this is just an oval ring. Pass it through. A little bit tricky sometimes if you've got a hair rig to get the hair through, but there we go, that's the hair through, and then get the hook through, pull tight, and this is only a loop over, so that's no problem. And that's your elasticated method feeder rig set up. Again, really simple and really straightforward. And the beauty of these ones is, if you want to change it, you just unclip the method feeder. Oops, made it go inside. Unclip the method feeder, put a bigger one on or a smaller one, whatever you need to do. Then back over the loop, clip up, tail rubber back over, and you're fishing again in 30 seconds or so. So that's it for another one then, guys. Hopefully, by showing you how to set up an inline feeder and an elasticated method feeder, you'll be able to go out now and increase your catches. I hope so anyway. So, if you liked it as usual, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, you can. And until the next time, bye for now.